Welcome everyone, and thank you for joining our 2025 UNSW Medicine Information Evening. My name is Cheryl Jones. I'm the Dean of Medicine and Health at UNSW, and I'm a Professor of Paediatric Infectious Diseases. Tonight we're going to be covering information that's relevant to our domestic applicants for our medicine program. If you're an international student, I recommend you join our international specific event, which runs on the 20th of March. What we'll share is also mostly relevant for those of you who are thinking of applying this year to start in 2026. So if you happen to be a little bit younger or not planning on applying until later, we're still pleased to have you. Do stay with us, but keep in mind that things do change a little bit from year to year, and we recommend that you watch in the future the year's information prior to your application. Before we get into our session, it's really important that I acknowledge country. I respectfully acknowledge the Bejigal people of the Eora Nation, who are the traditional custodians of the land where I am today on our Kensington campus. I recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and community, and also pay my respects to elders past, present, and extend that respect to any First Nations people joining us tonight, and acknowledge all the campuses of UNSW and their Aboriginal elders. UNSW is a university with a really strong reputation. We are ranked in the top 20 universities globally and first in Australia for employment outcomes in the latest 2025 QS World University Rankings. At UNSW, we aim to inspire students to create the best versions of their future selves and to set the foundation for an impactful, rewarding career. To achieve this from day one, our students are encouraged to follow their passions and are taught by leaders in their fields. We have a strong reputation for innovation, with more startup founders having studied at UNSW than anywhere else in the world. In doing so, we are guided by our university's Latin motto, Scientia Corde, Manu and Mente, which translate to knowledge by heart, hand and mind. And this captures UNSW's spirit of progress for all, as we strive to deliver the most exceptional education and research experiences possible while driving societal impact. Our medicine and health faculty is known worldwide for our innovative research programs and our transformative research. We bring our excellence in teaching, research and advocacy and commitment to social impact to address the most significant health challenges the world faces. We are recognised as one of the best in the world by our QS rankings. Our research is world-class, particularly in areas such as cancer, neuroscience, mental health, addiction, infectious diseases and other non-communicable diseases. Our world-class medicine degree, which we'll talk about tonight, has been the most in-demand degree in the state of New South Wales for the last 8 years running. We also have our incredible new Randwick Health and Innovation Precinct, which is a $1.5 million project that joins University of New South Wales with 4 hospitals in Randwick and our community. The building you can see here is UNSW's Health Translation Hub. It is near completion of construction and set to open later this year. The new building will integrate world-class innovative health education and training and research with our acute health services, delivering better health outcomes to patients, carers and the New South Wales community. We will have new teaching spaces for our students that you will be able to experience when you start with us. In the faculty, we know now more than ever that we need a range of health professions, clinicians and otherwise to prepare for the future of health. From the epidemic of obesity to global ageing and the resurgence of communicable diseases such as influenza and COVID-19, the critical health issues facing our modern world creates numerous and diverse needs that our faculty addresses to drive real-world change. We're here to talk to you tonight about the medicine program, but I also wanted to show you some of the other degrees at UNSW where our graduates are critical in driving better health outcomes. In the clinical space, you can study to become an exercise physiologist, a physiotherapist, a dietitian, a pharmacist, or an optometrist or vision scientist, or a combination of these degrees. And outside of this, careers in public health, as well as medical and vision scientists, and engineering and biomedical engineering all play key roles as well. Our clinical schools in metropolitan Sydney and rural New South Wales, as Wagga Wagga, Port Macquarie, Coffs Harbour, Albury and Griffith, have state-of-the-art facilities for clinical education and biomedical sciences. I encourage you to consider some of these other fields and professions, as well as choosing to study in medicine and health at UNSW. UNSW Medicine and Health aims to develop compassionate innovators and global leaders in health through transformative education and learning experiences. The actions we set in motion here will be felt across Australia and the world's health landscape for years to come. So thank you for joining us online tonight, and I hope to see you on campus next year. I'll now pass on to Nicole from the Future Students team, who will take you through the rest of this evening's event. Thank you again.
Thank you, Cheryl. Hi, my name is Nicole. I'm part of the Marketing and Digital Experience team here at UNSW. I engage with people like you who are interested in studying in medicine and health. Tonight, we'll start off with a program overview. Then you'll hear from our MedSoc president, who will speak around their experience as a medicine student, as well as provide some information on student support and student life. We'll then hand over to our rural campuses, where Tara will provide information on studying at rural campuses, during rural placements, as well as her experience as a rural physician. And finally, we'll get into the admissions process and pathways to studying medicine at UNSW, which I know you're all really keen to hear about. I'll know you have questions along the way, which you can ask in the Microsoft Teams chat. And at the end of tonight, we'll have a Q&A session to answer as many of these questions as we can, and we also have a few advisors replying live in the chat. I'll also mention that this session is being recorded and will be shared online afterwards. We'll also add some closed captions to that video. That's all from me now. I'm excited to introduce Associate Professor Sean Kennedy. Sean is the Program Authority of our Bachelor of Medical Studies, Doctor of Medicine program in the Faculty of Medicine and Health. He's an awarded educator and researcher and plays a really key role in the medicine degree at UNSW.
Good evening, everyone, or afternoon or morning, whenever you're watching this. I'm very happy to be here today talking to you all, and I want to give you an overview of what studying medicine at the University of New South Wales is like and what it's about. Importantly, when you graduate from our 6-year program, you'll graduate with a dual degree, with 2 degrees. There's a Bachelor of Medical Studies and a Doctor of Medicine. And it's really divided into the three years. The first 3 years contribute to the bachelor's, and then the MD comes from the second. But the full 6 years join together. And the way that we have divided up the teaching and learning is into 3 phases. And the style of learning that you have in each of the phases is slightly different. In phase 1, where we've taken most of you straight from high school, you get that introduction to some of the biological sciences, biomedical sciences and social sciences, which lay the foundation for working as a doctor. But at the same time that you're learning the sciences, you'll also be learning the clinical skills, the communication skills, the physical examination that we use all the time as doctors. And so it's a very integrated course, and it's integrated mainly through scenario group teaching. So you're getting real life scenarios about patients, about healthcare situations. And while you're learning it, while you're working through the scenarios, you're learning the basic sciences and the clinical sciences. It's also integrated between 2 years. So for most of the courses, not for the first one in the year, but for the others then, when you're learning, if you're in first year, some of the students in your scenario groups will be in second year. That's the first 2 years of the program, phase 1. Then you move into third year, which is the beginning of phase 3. Phase 3 is much more time spent in the healthcare setting. So during the first 2 years, you'll spend some time in hospitals, but in year 3, you'll spend the majority of your time in health settings, mainly hospitals. And I'll talk more about the teaching hospitals that we have on offer. But at the same time, you'll have lectures, tutorials, lab sessions where you'll still be going over those basic and clinical sciences, but all the time integrated with clinical learning. The second half of phase 2, which is year 4, I'll talk more about in the next slide, but that's a very specialised year where you do more research. But once you come back from the research year, you go into phase 3. And phase 3 has a bit more of that traditional medical teaching, where most of it's in hospitals, where you'll be attached to teams and you rotate through various different specialties. So you may do 8 weeks where you're working in psychiatry and learning about psychiatry. And then the next 8 weeks, it'll be in women's health, obstetrics, gynecology, and so forth over the 2 years. And then at the end of the 6th year, of course, there are final exams. But we have examinations all the way through, and we have what we call a portfolio that monitors your learning all the way through the 6 years. So let's go back now to the year 4. So year 4 is an important year where you learn and practice, particularly research skills. That sounds a little bit daunting sometimes for people. They think, well, how do I do research when I'm only a 4th year medical student? But it's a very structured and well-supported year. But it's also a great year for expanding your interests because you have the opportunity to choose research projects with research supervisors who are experienced supervisors and researchers from all of our campuses. And you can concentrate on learning how we do research, how we interpret research, how we communicate research. There's two arms. Most students will go into the honours that year. So their research project will also be linked with some coursework that they do. And then when they graduate, they'll graduate with a Bachelor of Science Med honours. But other students will also do research that year and it will contribute to the same 4th year learning, but it's as an independent learning project. And there's plenty of help in 2nd and 3rd year to help you choose which path is best for you and which project suits you the best. So that's the 6 years that you spend at UNSW, but that's only the beginning of your path to being a doctor, and whatever type of doctor you end up being. Because in New South Wales and Australia, to get full registration, you need to do 1 year in hospitals as supervised practice as an intern. And then beyond that, then you go into more vocational training where you'll what we call specialise. Now that specialisation could be in general practice. It could be in one of the many medical or surgical specialties, or it could be going off into other careers. But for whatever you do, one of the beauties and one of the really things that is attractive about medicine as a career is that you never stop learning. Sure, you get past the exams and you don't have to keep doing exams and sitting in lectures all the time, but you always are a learner. And that's one of the really important things that we teach our students during those 6 years, how to be a lifelong learner. So what are some of those specialisations and careers? So these are in Australia, mostly run by colleges, and there's College of Physicians, the College of Surgeons. Within the College of Physicians, you can do paediatrics, you can do all of the adult specialties like oncology, gastroenterology, neurology, all those ologies. There's other colleges which oversee training in anaesthetics, in obstetrics and gynecology, emergency medicine, radiology, medical imaging, or pathology. And there's the non-clinical careers where you're not necessarily working all the time with patients, but you can have a massive impact on the health of patients and society in general. Things like public health and medical management, looking after hospitals and making sure hospitals run right, which is not an easy job. Medical research in any of the vast fields of research, policy making, and doing passing more on to the next generation of education. And importantly, you can have a career mainly in medical education or research, but even if you have some of those careers in the top lines, you'll still be doing education and research while you're working as a clinician. Our program, of course, is usually is an undergraduate program. You start with a bachelor's degree, and we're usually taking students straight from school. We take you through, as we said, a stepwise integration from learning the basic sciences to integrating it with clinical sciences. Also, what you're learning all those 6 years is how to be a university student, because being a student at university is very different to being a student in high school. And then when you graduate, you're finished, you're ready to be registered as a doctor to that internship. Other universities offer postgraduate programs where you would have had to do a previous bachelor's degree in a different specialty, not a medical degree, maybe a medical science degree. We take a small number of students from our medical sciences degree into medicine, but it's a very small number each year, and they enter into our third year. One of the really fun and, again, those diverse things about UNSW is that where you learn, we have great opportunities around New South Wales. Where I'm talking from today is at the Kensington campus. And just next door to the Kensington campus, literally across the road, is the Randwick Health Innovation Precinct. And on campus there, we have Prince of Wales Hospital, we have Sydney Children's Hospital, we have the Royal Hospital for Women. These are all world-leading hospitals that are providing care across the spectrum from birth, from cradle to grave, as we say. Elsewhere in Sydney, and not very far away, easy to get to by public transport, St Vincent's Hospital, St George Hospital, Sutherland Hospital, the South Western Sydney campus, which includes the really big, really important, really busy hospitals, Liverpool Hospital, Campbelltown Hospital, Bankstown Hospital, Fairfield Hospital. These are all the hospitals that you'll learn at in Sydney. Our rural students have the potential for starting from first year in Port Macquarie or Wagga Wagga. But the rural students can then, beyond phase 1, can also do their learning in Coffs Harbour, in Albury Wodonga, and some of the rotations in Griffith Hospital. And students who aren't via the Rural Entry Scheme will also have the opportunity to spend time in some of these rural areas. So you can see one of the attractive things about UNSW is a lot of the campuses are in great spots. So you can have a great extracurricular activities wherever you're based. So I just want to end in closing that medicine, as we said, is the start of a lifetime degree by studying with us. It's a challenge to get into. It'll be challenging to complete the course. It's not easy, and we don't make apologies for that. And the selection sometimes appears really difficult, but we don't make apologies for that either, because we select students that we think have what it takes to succeed in our course, but also, more importantly, have what it takes to go on to be great doctors and really make a difference in the lives of individuals and society as a whole.
Thanks, Sean, for taking us through the detail of our medicine degree. Now that we've had a look at the structure of our program, let's learn more about student life and support from a current student. I'm going to hand over to Minnie, who is in her third year of her medicine degree. She is also the current president of MedSoc, our Medicine Student Society.
Hi, I'm Minnie, and as Nicole said, I'm in my third year of medicine and I'm the MedSoc president. I understand many of you watching tonight are interested in studying our medicine course at UNSW and perhaps would like to hear about what this student experience is like while studying at our university. I'll talk to you about our medical society, who we are, what we do, and as well as some other really fun opportunities that we have. Let's dive into UNSW MedSoc. As the primary representative body for all medical students at UNSW, MedSoc consists of over 100 dedicated volunteers. Every medicine student is automatically part of MedSoc, fostering a strong sense of community and involvement. Our mission is simple: to enhance the medical student journey and improve the field of medicine overall. Everything we do revolves around this purpose. How do we achieve it? Through our 3 core pillars. Advocacy. We strive to secure the best learning opportunities and curriculum for our students. By maintaining a close collaborative relationship with the faculty, we constantly seek ways to improve the program. Experiences. We create unforgettable events and activities that not only represent students, but also provide meaningful opportunities for personal growth, development, and of course, fun. Community. Building a supportive, engaging, and exciting community is at the heart of what we do. Beyond earning a degree, we aim to help students graduate with lasting friendships and cherished memories. While this may feel like just words on a screen, let me share some of the incredible opportunities waiting for you at UNSW Medicine. We host a variety of exciting events, including College Cup social sports competitions every term, hands-on upskilling sessions for future doctors, and countless social gatherings throughout the year. We even face off against our faculty in fun competitions like the Students versus Teachers debate. We also offer special interest groups for medicine students to delve into the fields that they're passionate about. These groups cover areas such as internal medicine, women and children's health, surgery, psychiatry, radiology, dermatology, critical care, and ophthalmology. They host fantastic events throughout the year, including conferences, suturing workshops, and clinical skills nights. For those with a creative spark or looking to explore beyond medicine, we have performing arts groups like MedShow and the Medical Music Society. MedShow is an entirely student-led production, written, directed, and performed with over 100 dedicated medical students, consistently wowing audiences. The Medical Music Society hosts an annual concert, jam sessions, and opportunities to join bands for those musically inclined. At UNSW, supporting and representing students is a top priority. To promote mental health and well-being, students can take 2 self-care days per term to avoid burnout. Our MedSoc academics team also provides robust assessment support through regular tutorials leading up to exams. Furthermore, our vice presidents oversee equity, diversity, and inclusion portfolios, which support our women's, queers, Indigenous, and international officers. In conclusion, there's so much to look forward to after high school, especially at UNSW Medicine. It's a dynamic, vibrant, and endlessly fun community where each day offers something new and exciting. I'd be thrilled to welcome you into this incredible world. See you soon. Now, I'll hand back over to Nicole.
Thank you, Minnie, for those great insights. Now that you've heard about the experience of our students at the Kensington campus in Sydney, I'm going to pass over to Professor Tara McKenzie, who is the Associate Dean and Head of School Clinical Medicine Rural. Tara will take us through all the things rural, as well as give you an insight to what it's like to be a rural physician.
Good evening. My name is Professor Tara McKenzie, and I'm here to talk to you this evening about studying medicine in one of our rural campuses at UNSW. As you know, University of New South Wales is actually a university that has many campuses, one of which is Kensington, but we have 5 rural campuses, and many of our students choose to study their medicine for 6 years at one of our rural campuses. There's many good reasons for this. There is definitely a broader scope of practice. You can actually have hands-on experience learning from patients rather than learning from textbooks. And it's actually really great to be involved with consultants and senior doctors who get to know you as people, and a lot of people really enjoy that part of it. You also get a lot more responsibility working in a rural campus, and you'll find that your clinical skills, your technical skills are actually far more advanced because you are actually much more hands-on. It helps when you then become a doctor because you have more confidence, clinical decision-making and leadership skills. We also find and we say that you're part of our family in our rural campuses, and so you're not just joining a university, you're not just joining a faculty, but you're actually joining a family of rural people who are dedicated to your learning and dedicated to make sure that you become the best doctors that you can. And you will find that you get to know your patients on a much deeper level than you do often in a larger place such as Sydney. You have a wide range of clinical cases. You work in many different specialties, but one of the big advantages of being rural is the generalism, and that includes our general practice colleagues as well as our rural generalists. And you'll find that rather than just learning about lungs or heart or bowels, you can actually learn about the whole patient, which of course at the end of the day is why you're there. The other big advantage about being rural is actually the class sizes, which are much smaller in every year group. That includes both the lectures as well as the tutorial groups as well as the pracs. And all of you will have a mentor throughout your 6 years to be able to help you grow into be the doctors that we know that you can become. That's the work side of it and the learning side of it. And in my opinion, that's second to none. But the other advantage, of course, is the work-life balance. And if you think about how long you sit in traffic in Sydney at the moment, that's a very simple thing you won't need to do in any of our rural campuses. Costs of living are lower than in the city. But more importantly, in my opinion, having worked as a respiratory physician in Wagga for nearly 20 years, the people who live in our rural towns deserve the same standard of healthcare as those that live in Sydney. And UNSW is doing a really big thing to become part of that and actually train up doctors who can serve the communities and serve them to the same standard as if you were sitting in Pitt Street in Sydney in a specialist suite. And don't for 1 minute think that your career opportunities are limited if you stay rural. Anything can be further from the truth. And if you look at all of our graduating students from UNSW, from our rural clinical schools, the vast majority, if not all, go on to the areas that they wish to specialise in of their choice, ranging from general practice, rural generalism, cardiology, neurosurgery. You can do anything you want from a rural setting, and UNSW program is exactly the same whether you're studying in Sydney or whether you're studying in a rural setting. We also, as you've probably gathered, advocate very strongly for our rural patients, and that's another big advantage of actually being rural. In terms of student opportunities, we have some amazing facilities, including a brand new $28 million building in Wagga that was opened only a couple of weeks ago. And this is a place where you have all the same sort of labs that you have in Sydney. You have the tutorial spaces, you have the clinical spaces, and you get to learn alongside other nursing students, some allied health students. So there really is an interdisciplinary learning part to being rural, where you actually work with these people in the clinics and on the wards at the same way that you train with them, and it really gives you a well-rounded experience. I'm sharing now some of the feedback from some of our students who have done rural placements, and there's no limit to what you can do in a rural placement. So this was a Royal Flying Doctors placement for one of our students, and you can see there that they actually shared something that most of our students who do placements share, that they want to stay longer because they're all too short to learn what they'd like to learn. Here's another example of one of our 4-week rotations for our metropolitan students who all do a 4-week rotation throughout their 6 years. And this person rotated to Maclean up in the mid-north coast. And again, you can see found it to be wonderfully rewarding to help you become a great doctor no matter where you're going to work in the future. So look, at the end of the day, we have 5 amazing campuses. We have 300 students across those campuses. We deliver the entire program end to end. We have dedicated academics, professional staff and clinicians who contribute to your training. And really, I don't know why you'd want to train anywhere else. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Tara. Now that we know more about the degree and you've seen what it's like to learn across our campuses, we're going to look at how you apply to medicine at UNSW. I will take you through the admissions process as well as our entry schemes and pathways to get into the program. As mentioned earlier, this application process is for domestic applicants only. Just another reminder, if you're an international applicant, we'll be holding our International Information Evening on the 20th of March. A local applicant is anyone who is an Australian or New Zealand citizen, an Australian permanent resident, or a permanent humanitarian visa holder. There are 4 steps to applying as a local applicant. Firstly, you need to register for and sit the UCAT ANZ. You will then need to apply to UNSW through the Medicine Application Portal, often referred to as the MAP. You will also need to ensure you submit your application to UAC and preference UNSW Medicine as one of your preferences. The last step is the interview if you're selected. It's key to note there are 2 applications, the MAP and UAC, and 3 selection criteria, selection rank, UCAT ANZ, and the interview. The selection rank is your ATAR plus any eligible adjustment factors, which for medicine is only the Educational Access Scheme, EAS, which is accessible via UAC. The median and lowest selection ranks for those who received an offer in 2024 will give you an indication of the scores required for entry in 2026. We recommend you check our website for the most up-to-date selection ranks. For 2024 entry, the selection rank for local students was a median of 99.75, with the lowest being 97.53. For rural students, the median was 97.15 and the lowest 91.3. At UNSW, we do not have prerequisite subjects. However, we do have assumed knowledge. For the medicine program, assumed knowledge is English standard. This helps us ensure you can communicate and research effectively. We also recommend chemistry and biology. Now, let's talk about the University Clinical Aptitude Test for Australia and New Zealand, known as a UCAT ANZ. The UCAT ANZ is a computer-based test done at Pearson testing centres. Multiple sessions are available throughout July and early August across Australia and overseas. Your results are given immediately after the test, and there are no medical questions in the test. A key change in testing in 2025 is the removal of the abstract reasoning subtest. There are now 3 unique sections individually timed right after the other. And please note, UNSW does not include the situational adjustment mark. Another change is a maximum score for the cognitive subset is now 2,700. So please note that the previous cohort's UCAT score data we have published does not provide a good indication of what to achieve. We don't recommend third-party test preparation courses. These can in fact be detrimental to your performance. Free practice questions and helpful resources on the official UCAT ANZ website are useful. We recommend you register for the UCAT ANZ even if you're unsure about medicine, which allows you to keep your options open. And lastly, we have the interviews. The medicine interviews are intended to get to know you as a person. They are structured interviewed over a limited time and 2 interviewers on each panel, usually 1 doctor and 1 community member. Coaching for the interview is not recommended. It is in fact easily detected and may be detrimental to your performance. There are no trick questions, so just be honest and you will do your best. Being invited for an interview is competitive. As an indication, for the 2024 intake, 1,613 applicants submitted an application through both MAP and UAC, and we interviewed 411 of them. Interviews are scheduled for the end of 2025 and early 2026. Specific interview dates will be available on our medicine local applicant website. We recommend you keep an eye on there for the most up-to-date information. Now, let's take a look at the application timeline. UCAT registrations are already open and close on the 16th of May. We recommend that you book in a test ASAP. UAC and MAP applications open early April and won't close until late September. UCAT exams are sat between July and August, and our open date, which we recommend everyone attends, is on the 6th of September. And then from November through to January, we conduct interviews. With regard to where you will study, local applicants will receive offers to study at our Kensington campus only. Rural places are given to students who apply through the Rural Entry Scheme, which we will go into shortly. Rural applicants will be given offers to either study at our Port Macquarie or Wagga Wagga campuses. We used to talk about bonded and unbonded places. Now everyone is automatically considered for both based on competitiveness. If eligible, you will be offered an unbonded place. Otherwise, you'll receive an offer for a bonded place if you're admitted to the program. Now we'll take a look at our 4 special admission schemes: the Gateway, Rural, Indigenous, and Lateral entry schemes. The Gateway Entry Scheme pathway is an alternative entry pathway for applicants meeting certain criteria. To be eligible for this pathway, you must be an Australian citizen or New Zealand citizen, or permanent resident of Australia. You must be completing an Australian Year 12 qualification in the year of application and attend a gateway school or live in a low socioeconomic area. Applicants are required to apply via UAC. When submitting your UNSW Medicine application via the map, please select Gateway Entry Scheme applicant as your applicant type. Applications submitted under this scheme that do not meet the criteria will be informed and automatically changed to a standard local applicant. Applicants who have lived in a defined rural area may be considered under the Rural Entry Scheme. Students need to have lived in a defined area for at least 5 consecutive or 10 cumulative years between the ages of 5 and 18. On top of your UCAT and selection rank, additional UNSW rurality criteria also applies. When you apply through the medicine application portal, please make sure you select Rural Entry Scheme. Applicants via the Rural Entry Scheme have lower entry requirements and are interviewed separately, generally at the closest rural campus to your home address. Students who are successful through the Rural Entry Scheme will receive an offer to study at either the Port Macquarie or Wagga Wagga clinical campuses. Next is our Indigenous Entry Scheme. Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander students can apply to complete a 3-week residential program, the pre-medicine program through Nurragilly, the UNSW Centre for Indigenous Programs. In the pre-program, your suitability and aptitude will be assessed for potential entry into the UNSW Medicine program. Successful applicants then continue on to the medicine program. As part of the process, applicants will need to provide high school marks and a personal statement. The UCAT ANZ is not required for this application. And lastly, we have the Lateral Entry Scheme, which is for students studying the UNSW Bachelor of Medical Science. Students in their second year of the UNSW Bachelor of Medical Science apply via MAP for the Lateral Entry Scheme. Students are required to sit the UCAT ANZ in the same year. Assessment for entry is based on the UCAT ANZ, the results of core medical science courses, and the interview. Successful applicants are then required to complete their third year of the Bachelor of Medical Science, complete an honours year, and then go on to complete the 3 remaining years of the medicine program. There are up to 10 places available each year, so this pathway is extremely competitive. If selecting this pathway, you need to be prepared to continue in the Bachelor of Medical Science. Now that we've covered our entry schemes, let's talk about some of the alternative pathways you may take if you aren't successful in getting an offer at this intake. One option is to apply the following year with a new UCAT ANZ and interview. If you would like to improve your academic marks, you could also consider starting another degree and applying using those marks if you meet the eligibility criteria. You would need to complete at least 0.75 full-time equivalent study load in order for your marks to be considered along with your section rank. Minimum entry requirements for this pathway are that your secondary qualification results reach an ATAR of 96 or 91 for rural students or equivalent, and your tertiary studies component must reach at least a weighted average mark of 70 or equivalent. Once you have met these requirements, the best of algorithm would apply, and the qualifications with a high selection rank would be used as a final selection rank for the admission process. Note, you will need to sit the UCAT ANZ every year you apply. If you don't meet the 96 ATAR criteria out of high school, you are not eligible to apply with your secondary results. In this case, you will need to complete another tertiary degree in any field, and once completed, these results can be used for your selection rank. We recommend you choose a degree you're passionate about so you can succeed and get the highest marks. Other options include applying for postgraduate medicine at other universities. We also recommend trying out other clinical or medical careers. Getting into medicine is a competitive process, but if you're determined, it should not be a question of if you're going to get in, but when. Now we're going to move on to the Q&A. We have lots of questions in the chat and won't be able to get through them all, so please thumbs up any questions you want to hear answered so we can get to those first. Like I said earlier, anything we don't get to tonight, our future students advisors are always happy to help. I will now hand it over to my colleague Anna for our Q&A.
Thanks, Nicole, and thank you, Sean, Minnie and Aiden, one of our fifth-year students, for joining us at the Q&A. We've had a lot of questions coming throughout the night, and we'll try to answer as many as we can. But I'll start off with you both, Aiden and Minnie. So we've had a lot of questions coming from the students about what made you choose medicine, because it's such a big decision and a big time commitment. So what made you choose medicine, and do you know which specialisation you want to choose when you graduate? Aiden, we'll start with you.
Well, I think for me, what made me choose medicine was the diverse range of opportunities that it has, whether it be clinical practice, research, teaching, even public health as well. And I think as I've gone through medicine, my interests have definitely changed as I get exposed to new specialties and new opportunities. But I think right now I'm leaning more towards general practice, dermatology, and anesthesiology.
Well, thanks, Aiden and Minnie.
Yeah, so what Aiden said really aligns with what I think as well. So I just add on to what he said. For me, I've always had an interest in the human body and learning about how it works. And also doctors really get to help people at their time of need when they're most vulnerable. And that's such a rich, rewarding experience. And in terms of specializations, I'm quite interested in general practice right now, but I'm open to anything. Yeah.
Wonderful. Great to hear you're both interested in general practice. So a question for you, Sean. We're getting a lot about the bonded and unbonded places. Can you tell us the difference between these?
Yeah, so both bonded and unbonded, well, just bonded places are just open for Australian citizens and permanent residents. And they're Commonwealth supported place. So the federal government is paying for your student fees essentially. We have a certain number each year of bonded places that we can offer. If you receive an offer for a bonded place, that's what it comes with, the bond, and you have to accept it if you want to take up the offer to study with us. Accepting it means that you agree to work for at least 3 years after graduation in a rural or regional area. It doesn't have to be in the first 3 years immediately after graduation. In fact, currently the guidelines are it can be in over an 18-year period, so there's plenty of opportunity. But that's what a bonded place comes with that agreement, and an unbonded place is just really the other standard Commonwealth supported places for us.
Yeah, wonderful. So unbonded places, students are able to study in those rural and regional places as well. They get to choose where they want to.
Yeah, where they study, and also, of course, where you want to be an intern and continue your training can be metropolitan, can be rural, regional, interstate, anywhere in Australia.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks, Sean. So we have a question from a student asking if they have to study chemistry in high school. So I thought I'd quickly answer that one as Nicole mentioned it in the admissions portion of tonight. So we don't have any prerequisites at UNSW. So we only have assumed knowledge. So that's the level that academics will assume you have when you come into your first class, when you start studying medicine. And for medicine, we only have English standard, which is assumed. You can still be given an offer without the assumed knowledge. However, we do recommend that you take it. And we also have further recommendations to take chemistry and biology in high school. But again, you don't need it to receive an offer. So I wanted to ask, Minnie, what did you study in high school?
Yeah, so I studied 4U mathematics, 3U English, economics, chemistry and physics. So I did not take biology.
And how have you found that studying here?
I think that initially you might feel a little behind, but there's a lot of resources to help you that are provided by faculty and also the university, and older students such as Aiden will also be really happy to help you as well.
Perfect. And Aiden, what did you study?
So I took the International Baccalaureate and I studied mathematics, English, French, business management, sports science and psychology. So no chemistry and no biology. And I definitely think that I was still able to cope with the course. And what assisted in that was the chemistry bridging course that was offered by the university when I began first year.
Yeah, wonderful. Thank you for mentioning the bridging courses as well, because we do offer bridging courses at UNSW for chemistry, maths and physics. So if you haven't taken those subjects, it can help you before you start your studies. So thank you both. Next question will be over to Sean. So we have a lot, as always, every year about the interviews. So what are we looking for in the interviews? We can't give away our secrets, but people are asking, is there medical knowledge in it or not?
Yeah. I can't give away the secrets?
No, unfortunately not.
Okay. No, it's not looking for medical knowledge, and it's not looking that you have prepared or have been to any interview training or tutors or courses. Really what we're looking for in the interview are those high school students usually who we think will be good medical students, who will and be able to thrive in our program, but then of course that feeds onto you'll make a good doctor. So really what the interview is about is trying to get to know you, to know a little bit about you, a little bit about your motivations, your prior experiences. So the questions are pretty straightforward, aren't they? They're not trick questions. And you know, when you're in the interview, you just answer honestly.
Yeah, wonderful. And Minnie, as someone who has taken it 3 years ago, the interview, do you have any advice about taking the interview?
Yeah, thanks for that question. I remember the interview like it was yesterday. But for me, the interview is about knowing who you are and being able to talk about what the experiences have made you to be who you are today. So you should do some self-reflection, chat with friends, know which experiences you would like to talk about if they come up, why you want to study medicine as well. That's some of my advice.
Yeah, wonderful. Thanks, Minnie. So we have a few more questions around the UCAT. So back to you, Minnie, because I know you studied the HSC. Students are asking, how do you balance preparing for the UCAT ANZ and doing the HSC in your year 12?
Right, okay. That was also pretty recent for me. And I know that it can feel overwhelming, especially since if your other friends, they want to pursue law or other degrees, they don't need to sit this additional exam. But for me, it was learning to be more efficient in my studies. I started scheduling when I would study, what exactly I would study during those time periods, and also remembering that you need some downtime to recover for yourself as well. I never sacrificed my sleep in year 12. I always try to spend some time with my friends and family, and also reaching out to my teachers as well for support.
Yeah, perfect. And that work-life balance is important, and you should carry through your whole life, not even just through university studies. Aidan, do you have any further advice for students on taking the UCAT?
Yeah, I think the UCAT's an interesting exam because there is a lot of resources available on the official website, whether it be practice questions, practice tests as well, and just information about the exam in general. I think it's really important for students to try and access that and give them a proper understanding of what the exam entails, especially because as of 2025, the structure has changed slightly with abstract reasoning being removed.
Yeah, perfect. And Nicole mentioned that as well earlier tonight on those changes. We have some questions. We're going to bring it back focused on the program now. So Sean, people are wanting to know a bit more about the types of projects that can be done in the ILP or honours years, and where can students take their projects? Yeah,
like it's a massive scale in terms of breadth of projects that are available. They can, and I know Aidan's just done his last year, you can do research in the, scientists looking down a microscope type of research, looking at cell cultures or something like that. You can do research in the sense of a clinical trial where you're actually directly involved with patients who might be undergoing a surgical treatment or a medical treatment. You can do research with data, with big data, and research with population databases, or just reporting on patient experiences. The research can be that quantitative, where you've got to work with a lot of numbers and statistics, or more qualitative, where you're doing interviews with patients or other participants. The research can be done really with any supervisor who's affiliated with our faculty. So that's massive. Like, as you've heard, we have campuses all around Sydney and around New South Wales. And within those campuses, the people who are working there, teaching, supervising, can be clinicians, doctors who are working at the front line, but also scientists and a lot of people who do a bit of both. We also have the medical research institutes that we're involved with. So yeah, it's a huge scope of what you can do.
Yeah, wow, sounds like a lot of options for you to take when it comes to that. And Aidan, as we just mentioned, you've done your honours year last year. So could you talk a little bit about the project that you did?
Yeah, of course. So my project was looking at the impact of intervention on the microbiome in pediatric eosinophilic esophagitis. And what I really liked about the kind of whole honours experience was that it exposes you to so many different aspects of the research process. So whether that be obtaining ethics approval for a project, it includes recruiting patients as well, taking samples because my project was prospective, data analysis too, even just writing up a scientific report in the style that would be published in a journal. Getting exposed to it at a university level, I think really prepares you for later on, because research is such an important part of being a medical practitioner.
Yeah, wonderful. All right, so a few more admissions-based questions that I'll take. So how many places are there in the medicine program? We offer just under 200 places every year, and we do publish those numbers each year, so keep an eye out for those. And that's for our local students. We do then offer about 100 places for our international students, so 2/3 of our students are local students. Do you accept various adjustment factors? So UNSW does have different adjustment factor schemes, but as Nicole mentioned earlier tonight, that we only accept the educational access scheme for the medicine program. If you're applying to other programs, you can definitely use the HSC Plus or the Elite Athletes, Performers and Leaders program. But for us, it's just EAS. You apply through UAC for those. All right. Back to a question for you, Sean. We have some parents asking about the academic support that is provided for students throughout their studies. Do you have anything you can add?
Yeah, look, I think the first thing is to say it's not easy. Students have to work hard, but not across the whole year. And just like Minnie was able to do during her HSC, you could still prioritise your sleep, can't you? Preferably not during classes and lectures. But so it's hard work. It's structured. It's clearly structured, and there's a lot of teaching, whether it's small group teaching, larger lectures, one-on-one, there's peer-to-peer teaching. So even just at that level, how the material is shared with students is fairly intensive in terms of support that's provided. But granted that it's not as easy for everyone, and some students have more challenges than others, and sometimes things that are going on outside of study do impact. So we have schemes that allow special consideration when it comes to assessment, to equitable learning service that allows students who have other challenges, including things like caring responsibilities, to have some accommodations made. There are academic support services that are provided centrally at the university level, and then also within the faculty we can do it on a smaller scale. We have mentoring schemes that are both done by other students, but also by academics or clinicians. There's a clinical mentoring scheme that students are able to sign up for. It's not compulsory, where they can be put in touch with a clinician, someone who's graduated out there working as a doctor, who can just give them advice. Not so much academic support, but it's other support. And as you've heard and you can see if you look through the UNSW website, there's tons of supports for health, for mental health, for financial even. So there's plenty of supports offered.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you. And Minnie, you mentioned a few things that MedSoc does also provide in terms of academic support. Did you want to touch on that a little bit?
Yeah, so in my part of the talk, I talked about how grateful we were to give back to our community. I'd also like to talk about how we have a very close relationship with faculty. So our academics executive works with faculty to run past sessions. I believe Aidan was a tutor last year, and so he helped a lot of students there. MedSoc we run some tutorials. We also run mock exams for clinical exams. And I can speak to this because some senior students, when I approached them, they were happy to stay back after their clinical days or their campus days to help me run some examinations. Aiden was very happy to help me as well. But I think there is a lot of support in UNSW as long as you know where and you're happy to find it yourself.
Yeah, thank you. Aidan, I have a question for you about if you can think way back when in year 11 and 12. Were you keeping up with extracurriculars while studying? We're having a lot of questions around work-life balance throughout the HSC or your last years of high school.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's really important to maintain those extracurricular involvements, especially ones that you're interested in. So for me personally, it was maintaining my sporting commitments, so tennis and basketball, and then also debating on Friday nights. That was kind of the staple of the Friday nights, going to debating. And I think it really helps just take your mind off some of the academic focuses as well. And it also can provide you with valuable skills as well. I know with debating, for example, the public speaking skills that I was able to hone and practice through that are still really important today. Even speaking to patients and being able to communicate effectively is really an integral part of being a doctor.
Yeah, perfect. And we have a few questions around those extracurriculars and if they play a role in our admissions process. The answer is no, in that if you do a certain extracurricular, that won't help you get in. However, all of the experience that you have in high school and all those extracurriculars make you the person that you are, which I'm sure you two can both attest to. And that will shine through in your interview. So we're not looking for you to list, I have this achievement, that achievement. It's seeing how those experiences and really self-reflecting, as Minnie mentioned, how that can make you a better person in general and a better medicine applicant. So that's what I'll say to those. So one last question for you, Sean. For people who are tossing up between medicine and other health-related degrees, what advice would you give them?
That there is a degree for you, that there will be a career for you. If this is what you want to do, you want to be in health professions. And that's not just being a doctor. And as we've heard, even if it's being a doctor, there's so many different types of doctoring. But if it's about helping people, if it's about supporting the health of our community, there are so many other professions that work with us doctors to achieve that end within our faculty. And if you've heard, we've got the other health professionals, pharmacy, nutrition science and dietetics, and exercise physiology and physiotherapy and vision science, all critically important for the health of individuals and society. And with it, other institutions, there's plenty of other degrees. So if you're someone who wants to help people, if you're someone who wants to work in health, if you're someone who likes biology, for whatever reason, but there are plenty of options. So don't put all your eggs in one basket necessarily.
Yeah, thank you. And as we're running out of time, I'll ask a final question to each of you. What is the best piece of advice that you would give to everyone watching and thinking about studying medicine? So I'll start off with you, Aidan, and we'll go along.
So I think it's really important to understand that medicine is a lifelong career. So after university, whether it be you're working in the hospitals, working in the private sector, there's a lot of lifelong learning involved. And I think doing your research into why you want to study medicine, even why you want to attend UNSW as well, looking at the student life, the culture here as well, is really important. I think having that understanding can set you up to enjoy university life better and also to enjoy the actual career a lot more as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so I'll talk to any aspiring medis who are watching. I would say don't get discouraged if you get knocked down. I always say life always finds a way. So even if you fail one thing, don't give up. Keep trying, because if you know you want to do med, you will find a way to study medicine. And even if you don't do med, you might end up finding a passion that was your lifelong passion all along. So just stay positive.
Great. And Sean?
Yeah, I'll pick up with what Minnie said. in the sense that something will happen. It will turn out all right for you, but it may not really look like what you think it'll look like now. Like if I go back to when I was, your age, and if I said, or if anyone else said that I would be sitting here talking about this because I have this job now, I wouldn't have, I thought it would have been a joke. So, and my career across since I graduated, every few, 3-5 years, something different comes up, and you go on your path changes. So, yes, have a passion. Yes, have a desire that this is what you want to do, but the end result may actually look different to what you're visualizing it as at the moment, and go with it, and trust in your own ability and your own passion.
Wonderful. 3 great pieces of advice for you there, and that's what we'll leave you with. So thank you again for joining our Q&A, and I'll pass back over to Nicole to close the event.
Well, that's all we have time for tonight, and we really have covered a lot. I really do encourage you to keep the conversation going with us. If you can, come along to our open day on Saturday the 6th of September. And like I said, get in touch with our future students advisors who will happily answer your questions. I'd like to say a really big thank you to Cheryl, Sean, Tara, Anna, Minnie, and Aidan. You've all added so much insight for everyone who has joined us tonight. And finally, a big thank you to you for joining us. We all wish you the very best finishing off your studies this year. All the best for your application, and hopefully we see you on campus soon enough.